So in creating accessible PDFs when you're starting from fresh with a Microsoft Word document, there are a couple of things that can make your life pretty easy in order to make sure that it's easily readable in a screen reader or other format. One of those is the styles. So if you don't use styles quite often, it's a really good habit to get into to try to help readers understand what they're seeing and have that text be tagged in a way that makes them understand that they're reading a title or they're reading a subtitle or they're reading a paragraph. They're looking at a heading, all that kind of stuff. So I've just got some dummy text here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that text and I'm going to tag that as a title. What's nice about this is if I have other titles or other subtitles within the document, it will automatically update them all to that same form. So that's a really nice feature of using styles as well. If you highlight something as a subtitle, it'll obviously look different and be clearly identified as a subtitle. You can also, if you don't like the way that the title formatting looks, you can change it to whatever you want. So a couple of options, like you could, jump into something more complicated if you wanted to. I can make that really big, and then I can automatically update title to match selection. If I right click on the title style, I can update the title to match selection, and it'll automatically do that. Every time I add another title, it'll look the same. So that's a nice feature as well, is you can update that to customize it however you want it to be. This text that we would assume is kind of like a paragraph, we can just leave under normal, and that's going to read as a paragraph, so that's nice. And then if you have text that you have in a list, it's good to use the bulleted list options within Word because that's going to tag it as a bulleted list for a screen reader. So you don't want to do these manually or just put hyphens in if you can avoid it. Trying to use that formatting and use it to your advantage, and also to help readers understand exactly what they're supposed to be reading if they're going through a screen reader. The other option is when you're including images into a document, so a Word document or any other document really, you would want to have the image be included. You want to wrap that text around the image just so that it's actually readable. And then if I'm having this appear in the middle of my page, that's fine. When I right click on this, newer versions of Word will have an option that says edit alt text. It's right in here usually. I need to go to format picture, and there's an option that says layout and properties. So I have a title there. I'm not sure the exact title of this image, but I'm going to say buildings. And then the description, I could say a painting of buildings. Once again, actual titles for the real image would be really helpful there. And then if I close that window and I save the document, then I should have all of that formatting intact. When a screen reader goes to read it, it won't just read that there's an image there that's blank. It'll provide that information for anyone reading with a screen reader. The last thing you want to do if you're creating a Word document from scratch and you're using that as a PDF in your course is to make sure that if you're bolding things, you're using that for emphasis rather than color. So if I want to make this particular piece of text stand out really well, I don't want to just make it blue. I want to make sure that it's either bolded or the text is larger or the text is highlighted in a way that's helpful. You don't want to have really poor color contrast. So if I do gray highlighting with red text, somebody with visual impairments that don't allow them to see color very well are literally just going to see that as gray on gray and not be able to read that text very well at all. So we want to make sure that when we're highlighting and when we're making those choices that the colors that we're choosing contrast really well with each other in case someone has concerns with seeing colors. So don't use color just as a way of adding emphasis. Make sure you use bold or larger text or some kind of highlighting, and then just do your best to make sure the text is readable. When I save this PDF, so save as Adobe PDF, it's going to allow me to save this document, and then it's going to save the PDF. And then when the document is created as a PDF, then all of this text should be readable. it should actually be okay in a screen reader because it'll know what the text is supposed to look like. Word also has an accessibility checker. If you go to review, it's usually in this left side of the screen. This particular version of Word has it when you go to save. So it'll say check for issues, and I can check accessibility here. So depending on the version of Word that you have, it might be in a different spot, but it's always called the accessibility checker. This doesn't like my picture. It doesn't like where it is. So I just need to wrap the text, and I can say choose inline with text, and that'll take care of that issue. So there we go. And that'll take care of that problem in the accessibility checker. And then when I save the PDF, I'm going to have a better version of that. So these are all good checks for just when you're creating your own Word document from scratch.